We back at it again, y'all. We back at it again. So this video, we're going to talk about the basics. Like, what do you need to do to get yourself started on a better financial journey? So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to write out all of your bills. Every single bill you have, everything that comes out of your account, you have to write it down. The easiest way to do this is, depending on what you use to spend, whether that's your debit card, your credit card, your main account. Actually, I want you to look across all of your accounts. See what's coming out. Every subscription, the $199 Google storage, the $10.99 Apple Music, Apple whatever. Write down every single subscription. Hulu, Netflix, subscriptions on your phone. If you have an iPhone, go to, and I'll show you on the phone, but what you're going to want to do is you're going to go to your Apple ID, and if you click on that, you should see manage subscriptions. You can see everything that you've signed up for using your Apple ID. So write down every single bill. I don't care what it is. If it's a monthly payment, write it down. If it's a credit card, write down what the monthly payment is, what the balance of the credit card is, what the interest rate is, and what the credit limit is. Because we also want to get those credit cards down to 30% because it improves your credit score, and we'll talk about credit scores later on. So that's the first thing you're going to do. Write down every single bill. For me, this was pretty tough because I have a lot of bills. I have a lot of subscriptions. I have a business. I have a photography business. So I also needed to write out my business bills, because this is just a tip for the people who have businesses. And you know this. When your business does not bring in enough revenue for that month, if you still have a full-time job, you are covering your business expenses with your personal money. I've been through this quite a few times, not because I wasn't booking clients, but because life had happened and I just wasn't as available to do shoots. And so some months I would have to take some of my personal money and pay a couple of those subscriptions. Like I have HoneyBook, and I have Adobe, I have Session for my mini sessions, I have Flowdesk for my emails, and I have two business credit cards that I'm paying off. I also own my own studio. I did pay that off in 2025. I was so excited about that, which is here at my house. So I had a lot of bills to write down. This may take you some time. You might not finish it in one setting. You might have to do a little bit, walk away, come back. But if you don't know what's coming out of your bank account, that's already probably one of the worst things. If you don't know what's coming out, check your bank accounts. Also, you're going to want to write your income. Whatever income comes in, whether that is your W-2 job, whether that is your side hustle, whether that is a part-time job, whatever money comes in every single month, you need to know that number. If you don't know what you're bringing in, or if your income is not consistent every paycheck, think of the worst case scenario when it comes down to this. Like, don't, if you always work overtime, right? And let's say, I'm throwing out some numbers here. Let's say that your check is normally $1,500 with the overtime. But if you don't work overtime, it's normally $1,000. I want you to budget for the 1,000, not the 1,500. Because what if they cut off overtime? Or what if for some reason you can't work overtime? Now you've based your lifestyle on this 1,500 inconsistent income instead of basing it on the $1,000. And if you do work overtime, you treat that as an extra debt payment. You treat that as, what it may be. If you're in a negative cash flow situation, meaning that you just don't have enough money coming in and you need to find out more ways to bring money in. Like, you can't even handle your basic necessities, meaning your four walls, right? So that is your house, that is your car or your transportation, that is food, and that's clothing. That's the most important thing. If you can't cover those things because you don't have enough money, you have to start looking at avenues to bring in more money. Whether that's a side hustle, whether you drive Uber or DoorDash or Instacart. I know some people don't want to do that because they feel like it takes so long to bring in the money. But when you're in the negative, you need to do what you have to do. And that's the story for another day too. But we'll get to that. So once you've written down your income, however many sources that is, if you are single, that's just yours. If you are married or in a serious relationship and you all have joint bills, then include that person's income as well. After we've written down your income, after we've written down all of your expenses, your bills, your credit cards, your student loans, your car note, your car insurance, all your subscriptions, all the things, now we're ready to go to the serious basics. Two things you're going to want to do. You want a bill account and you want a spending account. The reason for this is a lot of people have one checking account and they're swiping his debit card and they're constantly checking to see if there is enough money to swipe for what they're about to swipe for. But when you have two checking accounts, one a bill and one a spending, now when you get paid, all of your bill money stays in that bill account. Your direct deposit goes into the bill account. Whatever you have left over for spending, for food, for fun, for all the things, that goes to your spending account. You never want to touch your bill account, right? So your mortgage is coming out of there, your car insurance, your phone bill, all the things. Every subscription you have. But you don't have to worry about it if you have a spending account. Because now you know, okay, there's $350 in this account and I have to use this over the next, I don't know, couple weeks. Let's just say next 2 weeks. Let's use it even 200. Let's say you have 200 in your spending account and you know you have to use this money for the next 2 weeks. Now when you check that account, you know that Netflix isn't coming out, Hulu isn't coming out, Apple's not going to take your last $11 in your account. So that's my biggest recommendation, is to have the two separate checking accounts, one for spending and one for bills. Now you will have two debit cards for this because I have a lot of bills that are signed up on auto drive. So they, some of them require a checking account, like a checking and a routing number, and some only require a debit card. So I have a debit card for my bill account, but I do not take that out the house. I do know that by heart. I said, this is my debt confession. I do know that number by heart, but I try not to use that account for anything other than my bills and payments that are coming out. That spending account, that's gas, that's groceries, that's fun. Whatever I want to do, Amazon, that is what comes out of there. Another thing you're going to want to do is set up your savings. I have a whole nother video for this on high yield savings account versus the regular savings account you may have at your bank if they don't offer high yield savings account. But you're going to start this one thing. Have an automatic transfer to a savings account of some amount of money. It could be $5, $10, $20, $30, $100, $250, whatever you can afford. Have that money going into that savings account every time you get paid. Before you see it, you don't see the money. So I have a high yield savings account with Allie, and I also have a Roth IRA. But the Roth IRA is not a savings; that's a retirement account. But I treat it as a savings because I have money going in there every time I get paid. But the high yield savings account, I set the reoccurring deposits, or whatever you want to call it, transfers. I set those every time I get paid, and I don't see the money, but I have a line item on my budget for the actual savings account, so that doesn't go anywhere. The next thing you're going to want to do, so once you have your income and your expenses, now you need to budget. What are you spending your money on? Some people don't like budgets. Budgets are good for me. It's a boundary that keeps me in line. So let's say your paycheck is $2,000. Your bills are $1,500. Now you have $500 left over. You can divvy that out in accounts. And I'm only telling you what I do. Like I said before in my previous video, I am not a certified financial advisor or planner. This is just what works for me, and has worked for me over the years. I have all of my bills, whatever's left over, I break them down into, I think it's like 4 or 5 categories. I list them. You have your fun category. Your fun is going out to eat with your friends, buying little stuff that you want. That is the money that gets you through the next 2 weeks to hang out. Then you have your food, whatever your grocery budget is for the month. Then you have your gas. So budget for gas every time you get paid. And I'm only speaking on a bi-weekly basis because I get paid bi-weekly. But if you are monthly, if you get paid monthly, then budget that out for the month. If you get paid weekly, budget that out for the week. Okay, so once you have your income and you have your expenses, now it's time to figure out where the rest of the money is going. So your check was 2,000, your bills were 1,500, 500 goes to the spending. How do you divvy this up? I have 6 categories. My very first category are my sinking funds. If you don't know what a sinking fund is, it's pretty much a you can either save it in cash or you can save it in your high yield savings if they have buckets. I have Ally. I'll show what the buckets look like. But I put money into these little buckets, my sinking funds, every time I get paid to cover expenses for the year. So that is, I normally always have an escrow shortage. So I budget based on what the last year's shortage was. I divide that out at the beginning of the year. So normally my shortage is due in August. So I say, let's say the shortage is $500. I divide that by 7 months. The 8th month in August, I have all the money to pay the escrow instead of it coming out of my check at one time. I think that's what throws people off is they realize that, oh my God, I have to pay, I need to pay my personal property. I need to pay something, some annual fee that they need to pay that they're not prepared for. So my sorority dues, I divide that out at the beginning of the year. I know they're due in September. So 8 months, how long does it take me to get to this amount? I also have personal property. I live in Virginia, so we pay personal property twice a year, June and December. So every 6 months, I say, okay, personal property is 300, divide that by 6 or 5. I normally do 5 because I like to have the money at the beginning of the 6th month. So I do divide it by 5. So that's my sinking funds category. Then I have my grocery category, my beauty. I love to get my nails done. Just other maintenance I like to get done. So I set money aside for that. Gas, depending on what the next 2 weeks looks like. If I know, another thing I always do is I write down what comes up the next 2 weeks. So in this particular, I got paid on the 30th. I wrote down that I have a hair appointment and a nail appointment. I also write down if I have anything, like if I'm going out of town where I may need some extra gas money. And then I have my fund category, and then I have my personal savings. So like I told you earlier, the Ally account is my high yield savings. That money goes in there. My personal savings is something that I can touch more readily available. That's more readily available to me. The last thing I do want to say, and I know people argue over this all the time. Let's talk about Dave Ramsey for a hot second. Okay. Dave Ramsey suggests for you to have $1,000 in your savings account to cover anything emergency, and the rest of the money goes to debt. That don't work for you, girl. I'm gonna let you know now. When I was single, I knew that I was my only hope. I knew that my family wasn't rich. They can't repair the roof for me. They can't repair the HVAC. They can't do things to my house. They can't help with my car. Plus, I'm an adult. So $1,000 wasn't enough for me. But what I did was I put 1,000 in my personal savings, right? That's just if something comes up and I need to grab some money that I didn't have in my sinking funds, because I'm not touching my bill account. My spending is for something else. But if I needed $400 to, run my car to the shop because something is happening, and I am pro no car payment, so whatever need to be fixed on my girl, she gets done. So yeah, I put that $1,000 in my regular savings, but then in my high yield savings account, there's money that goes in there every time I get paid to build that up. That is my big emergency. Life is happening. I need a couple thousand to cover an expense for my house or life in general, whatever it may be. I like to have that $1,000 in my regular savings account, and then I also have a high yield savings. So when you hear me say in my categories that I have savings and sinking funds, all of this stuff is separate. All right, so to close out, some things that I suggested that may help you is tracking that income, how much money is coming into your household every single month or every 2 weeks. Writing down all of your expenses, what is flowing out, where is it going, how much is going, can you cancel some things, So once you have your income and your expenses, you're able to set your budget and you're able to see, okay, I have spent $500 on groceries, but that's not really feasible for my family, so I'm gonna drop it to 400. And I can show you kind of an example budget of what that would look like. Setting up your bills and your spending account, keeping that money separate, making sure that you never have to overdraft for any reason. And then also keeping that emergency savings, whether that is $1,000 in your regular or you have something recurring in your high yield savings. I definitely suggest high yield savings of all things. So yeah, catch me in the next video. Like I said, I'm not perfect. This is just me learning out loud, showing you that real life in progress debt journey. I just wanted to get the basics out to my folks, because when I start talking about my journey and what I'm doing, I need you to understand the foundation of how I started. So that's why I suggest the bill account, the savings account, writing down all your expenses, knowing where your money is going. I just want to help motivate people to do what they need to do. So come back next time. We'll talk about some of my savings challenges that I'm working on. Yeah. Peace out. See y'all next time. Bye.